Sometimes we're looking for the more, but we just don't know what the more is. And then we come to play with me. 3 words, like me, play, toys, fun, games, cheekiness, with, intimacy, connection, relationships, and finally me. It starts with self, and that is something that Play With Me stands for. Play With Me is a place where you have an experience of all of those things. One complete cycle. You're welcome to pop in at our shop at the Gantry in 4 Ways, or find us at www.playwithme.co.za. If you're looking for that more, please get in touch.
do something different this Valentine's month. Join us for a beautiful, fun and deeply nourishing sacred intimacy couples retreat on the South Coast, KZN. From the 23rd to the 25th of February, wake to the sound of the sea, renew your connection, relax in bliss body massage, and reconnect with your love. Go to www.blissandrelaxation.com for more info.
Ready to love life? Join me on a transformative journey with Tantra. I'm Tara Rose, inviting you to say yes to the present moment. Tantra is more than sex. It's a spiritual path using the body for expansion. In our sessions, we explore bliss and emotional pain, ignite your life force energy, and create a safe space for growth. I guide women, men, and couples, in person or online, blending traditional and neo-tantra. This can be a profound journey to recognize your true self. Book a discovery call at tararose.net, that's TARAROSE, or message on WhatsApp 076 5355 949. Tantra with Tara Rose. Activate, nourish, and enrich your mind, body, and spirit.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent or that of the program, its presenters, hosts, directors, or other team members.
This show is intended for audiences aged 23 and older. This production and its digital copies contain content of an adult nature. If you are easily offended or are under the age of 18, this show is not intended for you. The posts, pages, and recordings within are intended for adults only and may include descriptions of scenes of sexual content, suggestive opinions, detailed discussions, and graphic topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Passionate pollies and sultry swingers, it's time for Lola's Lifestyle Lectures on your favorite seduction station, Lust FM, for the lustful listeners.
And on that, before the music starts playing again, which it's not supposed to do, I mean, what's the beginning of a show without some technical difficulties, right? Good evening, lustfuls. Welcome to Lesson 2 in Semester 1 of the non-monogamous spin-off of Lola's Lessons, Lola's Lifestyle Lectureship. As usual, I'd like to start off by mentioning the endorsement site. The Council of Fantasy, Lola's favourite friends at the COF. The COF is a lifestyle-orientated community catering for BDSM, lifestylers, and everybody that wants to learn how to enhance their intimacy. If you don't know what that is, this is exactly the place for you, right? If you want to explore something exciting with your partner, come and learn how to do that on the COF. The COF hosts events in all spectrums, and it's a safe, sane, and consensual community. We are all inclusive, and the only shame we shame is shaming itself, right? One of the main focuses of the COF is education, and not just in BDSM or in lifestyle, but in sex, mind, and body positivity. There's a women empowerment group, there's an education group, there's a lifestyle group. I mean, there's even a classifieds group. So if you've got a business, just come advertise with us at least and find out what the real community is all about. Your Lola Blakely production moderators this evening on the Podbean app. If you guys see them around and you see them like enforcing all of the rules, say hi. They are Big Red, Jaded Mel, and Miss Medusa 78 herself. I'd like to welcome my co-host, my surprise co-host for this evening's, the classy mistress of rabbits, Kinky Bunny, Miss KB herself. Yes, lustfuls, that's right. You guys know her. We all love her. I'm talking about Lola's favoritist social media public relations manager, as well as the Lola Blakely Industries production manager, Miss KB. Good evening, Miss KB. And thank you for co-hosting with me, baby.
Hi, Miss Lola. I'm so excited. Finally get to hear my voice on the show.
I mean, everybody knows you because you're always interacting with everybody on the show, right? But, I mean, nobody's really heard the voice.
No, they haven't really heard the voice behind the person.
Behind, like that. Don't say that on it. This is not a space for that. You're always enforcing. I mean, now you get to go. So are you excited?
I'm very excited, Miss Lola.
Really? I must say I'm slightly nervous sitting next to you. You're so beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Miss Lola.
Oh,
and you're luscious as always.
Did you listen last night? Miss Common said my lashes. My lashes.
I heard about the comment of the lashes. That was so gorgeous.
And now I forgot to put my special new mascara on for you.
Oh, Miss Lola, you look beautiful every time I see you anyway.
But you know I dress up for you, baby.
Always.
I know. I'm good like that. So this evening, folks, Lola came to visit her favorite poly family in their home. Yes, that is the Poly Dragons. And the guest for tonight's segment is none other than Mr. Black Dragon. Mr. Black Dragon is the co-founder, technical director, and the protector of the CIF, Lola's favorite friends at the Council of Fantasy. So basically, guys, I work for him and for KB, but let's not get into that, right? He's been living an ethically non-monogamous lifestyle for the last 8 years. And for 6 of those years, he's had an ongoing poly relationship. Well, not an ongoing. For the last 6 years out of those 8 years, he has had ongoing poly relationships. There we go. He currently has 2 autonomous, and we'll talk about the word autonomous in a second. He currently has 2 autonomous poly relationships, as well as an additional play partner. Gosh, this guy's busy. I mean, his polyamorous relationship lifestyle is built on a personal TOE engagement contract. Oh, I want to know more about that. I mean, personal contract. I wonder if that's a contract that he set up with himself. We'll get to that. It's so his polyamorous relationship lifestyle is built on a personal TOE engagement contract covering emotional well-being, relationship structure, communication, and protection. So in my humble opinion, lustful listeners, with his personal experience, Mr. Black Dragon is definitely the perfect guest for the segments of Lola's lifestyle lectures on Probably Poly. Mr. Black Dragon, good evening, handsome. Welcome.
Good evening, Lola. How are you?
Oh my gosh! Then he doesn't have a radio voice. Listen, what are you doing during the week? Can you do voiceovers for Lola?
I can if you ask nicely.
Oh my gosh, this is insane. My ears. Mr. Black Dragon, good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for opening your home to us, and thank you for allowing us to delve a little bit into your mind as the head of a poly family. I mean, I think it's quite exciting. I think it's quite exhilarating. And I think it's quite a handful. I mean, I've got 2 of your ladies in the room with us this evening, right?
Yes, indeed. But I wouldn't call myself head of a poly family.
Okay. Why would you say that? Why not head of a poly family?
Well, that would indicate a form of hierarchy, which is one of the forms of polyamory, and we do not practice hierarchical poly.
Not hierarchical poly. What is hierarchical poly?
Hierarchical poly is based around you have a primary couple, and then you have secondary relationships. Whereas your non-hierarchical poly is more free than that. It's not necessarily based around a specific couple itself.
Oh, I see. Miss KB, what do you know about a poly family? I shouldn't actually even ask you because I just know. We might as well tell our listeners. Mr. Black Dragon is your wife. Is your wife? Is your husband? I mean, that KB is your wife, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and she's your first and primary partner. Can I call it a primary partner? Is it a primary partner? Because this is where autonomy comes in, right?
I would not necessarily be his primary partner because our relationships are autonomous.
Yes.
By means of the time he spends with me is relative only to me, and I have no control or say or whatever of what he has to do with his other partners. Only thing is I might feel I would need to not necessarily protect myself, but act accordingly if my feelings get hurt. And I'll ask the questions as we go along.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Mr. Black Dragon, before we get into autonomy and the different relationship styles, let's go with what is poly?
In short, it is a philosophy.
A philosophy.
Yes, allowing people to have multiple loving connections or relationships.
Okay, so you said you used the word loving there. Okay, so there's a difference. There's a difference between a polyamorous relationship. Okay, so this is lifestyle lectureship, right? Lifestyle lectureship is in essence a relationship and sex guide for everybody that has a relationship or interest in a relationship or current standing relationship that is ethically non-monogamous. That's what the lifestyle lectureship is all about, right?
All about being ethical.
Exactly. It's all about giving guide to people that want to explore ethical non-monogamy.
Yes.
So poly is basically a form of ethical non-monogamy. What makes polyamorous people or polygamous people different from swingers?
The emotions involved.
Emotions involved.
Yes, whereas swingers are more about the physical aspects. Let's hook up, let's play, let's have fun. Polyamorous people are more about the relationships that you build with those people.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think, in my opinion, there's a little bit more of a permanence in the relationship of that partner in your life, in polyamorous or polygamous type relationships, where in swingers, that's a play partner. You might play with them regularly, or you might decide to swap and play with somebody else on another night or whatever it is. With the term polyamorous means many loves. So you have an emotional and a mental connection, and a almost like a protective being with with any one of your partners.
So it's a physical relationship with more than one
Yes.
person.
Yes,
Okay.
but not all polyamorous relationships are sexually based.
Oh, really?
Yes, you can have, for instance, a very, very, very close friend, and in some cases, some people would actually see that as, say, for argument, with KB and myself married, and I've got an extremely close friend. I could still be seen as being poly because I have a very strong connection with that specific person, but we might not be sexual at all.
At all. So there doesn't necessarily have to be any intimacy or any sex involved.
You can have a platonic polyamorous relationship.
That's very interesting. So basically, what we're telling the listeners is that swingers just have multiple sexual relations with multiple partners, whereas a polyamorous relationship, polyamorous or a polygamous relationship dynamic would be, it involves love, it involves connection, it involves being together.
Primarily that connection.
Yes, that connection. Why do people choose poly? Why did you choose poly? Let's start with that. Why?
Well, we all have an abundance of love. And it's basically sharing that love and those emotions with the people around you.
Okay, I'm going to ask one straightforward, hardcore, down to the bone question that all of the listeners, that's probably on all of the listeners' minds. And I mean, we all know that Lola's lessons is pre-planned and predetermined, but not scripted. It's raw, real, and authentic. So I'm going to go off on a limb and I'm going to say, most of my listeners are listening, especially if they're vanilla and they know nothing about this. They're sitting there wondering, do poly people all sleep together? So you are saying you've got a wife, you've got a girlfriend, and you've got a play partner. Do all of you guys sleep together? This is what the listeners most probably are thinking at the moment.
No, that's not how poly works. In some cases, a polycule, which is your collection of the connected people, in some scenarios, that group of people might choose to literally connect with each other in that sense. So then people will sleep together throughout within the polycule. But in our case, that's not the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really, really
It
interesting.
sounds like a bit of an orgy, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I think
It
think that falls more in the swingers role,
Yes,
right? Because
yeah.
that's what swingers are all about. That's what they do, right?
Yeah, well, if you're in the polycule and they decide to all sleep together, that sounds like an orgy, not necessarily a one-on-one relationship with
But that's
additional
only if they
people.
all sleep together at the same time. Then it's an orgy.
Okay, guys, this is getting technical.
No, for instance, my wife has her partner. He's my metamor.
Okay, so just repeat that. Hold on. Your wife has a partner as well.
Yes.
Okay.
He's considered my metamor. That's
What
just a
is
term
a
that
metamor? What is the
so
definition
he
of
is
metamor?
connected to me via her.
Okay.
Yes.
Do
And
you guys-
my girlfriend and my wife are metamors as well. They're both connected to each other via me.
So, do you and your wife's partner have a good relationship? Would you say?
I believe so.
I mean, how do you handle jealousy in this?
It can be an issue. It happens. Insecurities, jealousies, those kind of things happen all the time. In most cases, comes down to actually just communicating what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and trying to work out exactly how that can be resolved.
I mean, I must say, and I commend you guys for this because I've obviously spent the afternoon with you guys, right? I mean,
Yes.
seeing, and I got to see firsthand how you guys, because it's just been the four of you and myself, right? So I've come to see how you guys move and how your groove works, how your vibe is at home, and it's absolutely fascinating to me. I mean, Mr. Drag0n's is it you don't have a secondary partner and a primary partner? We don't.
No, that would be if it was
Hierarchy,
which is
yes.
not.
Okay, so Mr. Black Dragons, can I call it your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Girlfriend came out earlier and offered us something to drink, and I mean, her and you, Miss KB, had a brief interaction, and it was fun to watch. You guys look like girlfriends, not girlfriends in the sense of a relationship, but friends.
Yeah, we actually are very good friends. I actually introduced her to Mr. Black Dragon because I was the first person to ever put rope on her in a public space, and basically she's been attached to me ever since.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. That's gorgeous.
And we've
That's
been friends, and she supports me with my workshops and supports me with actually even when I have a bit of a bit of my own insecurities and feelings hurt by some of things that happen in the other poly things. She's been quite supportive in that.
I don't know. I know we're going a little bit off topic here and like diverging from the questions. And I'm gonna let you start co-hosting with me because we discussed this ahead of time. I'm like, okay, you can't be the guest as well, Miss KB. You're gonna have to co-host. Now I'm making you the guest. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to get the most amount of information out of this episode, right? So. What I was gonna say, yes, that's what I was gonna say. A while ago, I don't know if you guys ever watched it on DSTV. There was on TLC and a channel on DSTV. There was a series called Sister Wives.
Yes, that's pretty much what it is.
Yes,
Sister wives.
and I love that because it's like having a sister within your home environment, within your intimate relationship, having that sister and that was, I think they're all polygamous, right? They're
Yes,
not.
they're polygamous.
They're polygamous because it's one husband
with two wives.
with multiple wives.
Yes.
As
many as
more
you
than one,
please, yeah.
more than one wife. Okay, and I love that aspect of it. Just seeing how they work together and how they bounce off of each other and how they support each other and how much love there was to give and to share. But I think it becomes tricky.
It does.
Especially if one partner has a problem, and it can affect everybody around. So it's literally the ripple effect. Throw a pebble in the pond and see where the ripples go.
Okay, so let's cover quickly. What is the difference between polyamorous and polygamous? Because we just touched on that. So let's get into that more. So you guys would be polyamorous, right?
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
because polyamorous, the difference of polyamorous is then.
No, I'm allowed to have multiple partners. I have my beautiful wife, my beautiful girlfriend, and my play partner. My wife is allowed to have multiple partners if she so chooses. My girlfriend even is allowed to have multiple partners if she so chooses.
Okay, so what is the difference, the official difference between polyamorous and polygamous?
Polygamy is you would have one husband, multiple wives, or one wife, multiple husbands. Whereas with polyamory, it is every partner involved within that specific setup may have one or more partners.
Okay. One and many and all.
Many to many versus many to one. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, hold on. So let me just get this straight. Polygamous is one partner, many partner, one person, many partners, and polyamorous is many and many. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Mr. Dragon, I have a question for you.
Look at you hosting and shit.
You must be a good host.
Fine, I'll step back. I'll give you a chance.
How do you manage your boundaries with your other partners? How do you protect yourself and your more permanent partners from STDs should your other partners decide to have multiple partners, etc. How does that work? I want to understand, because we have to be conscious of, we live in a modern world. Things like STIs, STDs, all sorts of things flow in the air, in the juices. I know it's all sexy, but we need to kind of like be safe.
That's a very good question, yeah.
The best thing you can do is to make sure that you've got open, honest communication between you and your partners. If I'm to play with somebody else, I need to inform my partners about it so that they can make informed decisions regarding whether they want to continue playing with me at that point in time or not. It's just to ensure their safety and mine, and I expect the same from my partners in that specific scenario.
Okay. Does it work on a basis of you need consent from your partners, or is it a thing of just notifying them that you're playing with them, or how does
I was
that
just
how
gonna
does
ask
that
the same.
communication happen? How does that work?
Okay, so there are a few things that within our setup we take into consideration. Before I would, for instance, play without protection with another partner, I would actually get consent from my current partners to make sure that they are comfortable with it. Same with any changes in relationship status. So if you're having a play partner and you actually want to go into a full-on relationship with that person, I would discuss it with my current partners and make sure that they are comfortable with it and that we can all work together in that sense.
I mean, you've already got basically 3 ladies. You don't want to upset 3 ladies at the same time, right?
No,
That would be a catastrophe.
That's a bad idea, yeah.
Okay. I would like to find out. I've read, obviously I did a little bit of research coming into tonight's episode. I've read that there are different kinds of poly practices, right? I mean, I'm sure most of our listeners have heard of the term kitchen poly. We spoke about, I heard the term a couple of times mentioned today. What are the different the different poly relationships? Do you know? Can you give me an example of a couple?
I've got a list. It's just basically.
Oh, you've also done research then.
Yes, I had
Look at you being prepared and shit.
And I made notes.
I want to see that notepad.
No.
Have you got an ugly handwriting? I want to know.
Chicken scratch all the way.
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed.
So am I. Look at you. High five with the right hand for the left hand.
Okay, cool. So primarily we've got your hierarchical poly, non-hierarchical, solely polyamory, parallel polyamory, and then kitchen table. You also have the V or hinge polyamory and polyfidelity.
Fidelity, not infidelity.
Polyfidelity.
Do we have the breakdown of each of those?
I do. Give me a second.
While you look for that, right? You guys said, I'm going to go to you again, KB. What is while you look for that, I'll find out from KB. KB, what is your viewpoint on kitchen poly? Because that's basically what you're accustomed to as well, eh?
Yeah, speaking of kitchen table poly, it's basically almost like you're having a meeting around the table and you're actually discussing the various aspects of the relationships and how one's actions could be affecting the other people within the poly family. I wouldn't
like playing with an additional partner.
Having an additional partner can impact on everybody else. Does somebody have a problem with a new person? Have they been tested? Because we need, as being poly and the potential of having other playmates coming in often, we have a need to be tested, particularly from Black Drag0n side, with him having more than just one of us or two of us at a time.
Yeah.
Yes. So our agreement is we test about every 6 months, unless we have reason to believe that there's necessity for testing more often. But other than that, usually we stick to roughly every 6 months doing testing just to be on the safe side.
I mean, you guys should just get into contact with Lola's friends at FAMCA. And
we already did that.
Oh, you guys did? I mean, you are the production manager, so I'm sure you like got into contact.
Of course, we're going to use Lola's contacts.
Okay, so let's hear the definitions there, Drag0n.
Okay, so hierarchical involves partners who consider each other their first priority. So that would be like a couple scenario, and we are then free to pursue romantic relationships outside of this primary relationship. Non-hierarchical basically this means that there is no specific. Everything centers around this one couple. Solo comes down to the individual has multiple romantic relationships, but doesn't have your normal views or markers of commitment to anyone in specific. Whereas parallel, it's a couple at the center of the relationship, but they both date outside of their own relationship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in some cases like that, the metamorphs might actually not even ever meet each other. So it's a whole different way of doing it.
Wow.
And then like KB said, when you have your kitchen poly, it's more everybody coming together, discussing the various aspects and topics and making decisions from there. Then you've got your V or hinge polyamory, which to me sounds quite a bit like polygamy, in that you have one person who dates two or more people. They don't necessarily date outside of that one relationship that they have with that one person. So you could almost like have a V shape or in that sense. And then polyfidelity is basically a polyamorous or polymonogamy, but it is to a point where people have decided that, okay, this is our polycule and we will not date or be sexually interactive or make connections with anybody outside of our polycule.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Whereas in our case, we are more open in that regard.
That's pretty cool.
Just a little comment on the left-handies in the room.
Listen,
Left-handed.
you're sitting close to Lola, right? And you're close to my left. You on my left-handed side, and that's my strong side. So
I
careful.
am not about to insult you, Miss Lola.
No, we just hands up, like smacks on the bums. It's fine. We do this thing.
Left-handed people are generally a lot smarter than the average human.
And we know this.
But unfortunately,
Also live
their
a few years
lifespans are not as long as the rest of us.
We know. Have you
Okay.
seen how Lola lives?
However, they have some of the most tremendous creative streaks in all spectrums of life.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Can I tell you a little? Listen, we never talk about Lola's private life, right? I don't allow that on air, but I'll give the listeners a little insight into Lola. So Lola is left-handed, as we just heard, right? But I was never, and I'll share this with you, Miss KB, because I love you so much. I never considered myself to be creative at all. I can't draw. I write like a damn doctor. I wish I was one, but I write like one.
Same here.
So, if you give me a script, I can possibly fill it in for you and it will look authentic. I'm not saying I did that ever. Right? I could never color in the lines. I can't draw. And, I can't paint. So forever was wondering, where's my creativity that everybody keeps on saying I'm supposed to have as a left-handed person? And then, then Lola's lessons. And then I was like, oh, shitness. That's where I'm creative. I can create shows.
There you go.
So here's a little bit of an inside story of KB.
Let's hear it.
So KB is actually a sapiosexual. She's got an attraction to particularly the mind,
Yes,
but
baby,
emotional
size Lola.
Intelligence on top of it.
Size
Something
Lola.
about Lola's play partners and her actual life partners in the poly. All my partners are lefties.
You just said Lola's play partners and
No,
Lola's poly
Miss
partners.
Bunnies, Miss
There we
Bunnies.
go.
was like,
Kinky
I'm
Bunnies.
thinking, what, did
All
I
my
just gain a
partners-
whole family? Yeah,
All my partners are lefties.
I'm taking you all home. No, you just said it's Lola's partners. So now I get to take you all home.
I should have a chat with my metamor. He just got a partner he's not aware of.
I don't think he would mind.
Listen, I'm not called Miss Lola for no reason, right? It's going to be hierarchical poly when I'm involved. I'm just saying.
Miss Lola sits at the top.
Crack the whip.
There we go. Okay, so I want to know also, Black Dragon, why do people choose poly relationships? You know what? Hold on, before we go on to that, it's time for break. But when we come back from break, just prepare yourself for this question, right? I want to know, what are the benefits? Thank you. Oh, such a gentleman. Look how chivalrous it is. I drop my
bending
phone
for
and,
you, Miss
he
Lola.
gets the phone for me.
Yo, I'm bending already, my word.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Dragon. When we come back from the break, I would love to find out why people choose to practice poly, and what the benefits and the hardships are of that. Okay, so I mean, prepare your questions, get your notepad, and let's teach these listeners a lesson or two. Listen, Lustfuls, this evening you are listening to Lola and KB as we explore a poly dynamic. If you aren't a swinger and you aren't monogamous, are you probably poly? Let's find out when we come back from the break. Go and refill your drinks, go and get comfortable, and come and learn a lesson or two on Lola's lifestyle lectureship. 10 minutes and we'll be back, guys. Mwah, mwah. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That was really, really good. You worked pretty well. You're pretty good. You know what?
Sometimes we're looking for the more, but we just don't know what the more is. And then we come to play with me. 3 words. Like me. Play. Toys. Fun. Games. Cheekiness. With. Intimacy. Connection. Relationships. And finally me. It starts with self, and that is something that Play With Me stands for. Play With Me is a place where you have an experience of all of those things. One complete cycle. You're welcome to pop in at our shop at the Gantry in Fourways, or find us at www.playwithme.co.za. If you're looking for that more, please get in touch.
do something different this Valentine's month. Join us for a beautiful, fun and deeply nourishing sacred intimacy couples retreat on the South Coast, KZN. From the 23rd to the 25th of February, wake to the sound of the sea, renew your connection, relax in bliss body massage, and reconnect with your love. Go to www.blissandrelaxation.com for more info.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent or that of the program, its presenters, hosts, directors, or other team members.
This show is intended for audiences aged 23 and older. This production and its digital copies contain content of an adult nature. If you are easily offended or are under the age of 18, this show is not intended for you. The posts, pages, and recordings within are intended for adults only and may include descriptions of scenes of sexual content, suggestive opinions, detailed discussions, and graphic topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, Lustfuls, and welcome back to Lesson 2 in Semester 1 of the non-monogamous spin-off of Lola's Lessons, Lola's Lifestyle Lectureships. This evening, I'm visiting my favorite poly family, the Drag0ns. My co-host for this evening is none other than the gorgeous Madam KB herself, Kinky Bunny. She's normally our admin manager. And Madam, can you stop managing the mods and managing the app and just co-host with me? Because I can see you typing on the app, Madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't let go of my responsibilities.
I mean, forever an admin manager, right?
Forever managing and making sure everybody's doing their bit.
So, the Lola Blakely production moderators on the Podbean app for this evening are Big Red, a Jaded Mel, and our Madam Medusa 78. So if you guys see them hanging around on the chatter, say hi, ask them your questions, and they can direct it directly to us, or they can answer a couple as well. These moderators are here because we are engaged in this topic of sex positivity. I mean, guys, sex is sacred, right? And within the sacred space, we need to try and keep the hosts and the production team, as well as the listeners, somewhat safe, because everybody knows, the world tries to take advantage when anything sexual is concerned. So the moderators are here for our safety and just to help us navigate the app while we host and we get the most information from our guests throughout the segment. I'd love to welcome back Mr. Drag0n. Mr. Drag0n is the co-founder, the technical director, and the protector of the COF. He's been living an ethically non-monogamous lifestyle for the last 8 years. And for 6 of those years, he's had ongoing poly relationships. He currently has 2 autonomous poly relationships, as well as an additional play partner. This man has a lot of time, apparently, because 3 women and one guy. I mean, gosh, he's got big balls.
Are you sure it's a lot of time on his hands, or does he just have big hands and a big cock?
Mic drop, bam! There goes KB. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why I got it to co-host with me, right? His polyamorous lifestyle is built on a personal TOE engagement contract covering emotional well-being, relationship structure, communication, and protection. So that, guys, is, in my humble opinion, why we chose Mr. Black Drag0n as the guest for this segment of Lola's Lifestyle Lectures, called Probably Poly. If you're into swinger and you're definitely not monogamous, are you probably poly? I mean, Black Drag0n, if you're not a swinger and you're definitely not monogamous, do you think that would consider you could consider yourself poly?
Are you alive?
No, you're alive.
Then yes. Most likely, if you're not the other 2, then you have to be the last one.
I mean, you got to pick one, right?
Yeah, you got to pick
unless
something. Unless you want to be celibate for the rest of your life.
I was gonna say, there's somebody told me a while ago that they're just not engaging in relationships or any sexual relationships whatsoever with anybody else besides themselves. And there's actually a term for that.
It's called asexuality.
Asexuality, that's it.
Yes.
One of my friends from season 1 has turned asexual.
Yeah, it's called autosexuality, and autosexuality is you find yourself attractive and you only want to play with yourself or love yourself or have sex with yourself. In any kind of way.
It involves no other person besides self.
It ranges along the lines of your asexualism. You've got your demisexuals, you've got your sapiosexuals, you've got your pansexuals. So you can have a specific sexual orientation, but you can also have a specific proclivity within your sexual orientation. A pansexual, for example, as long as they find the person attractive, mentally and physically and emotionally, they can have sex with them. A demisexual is definitely leaning more towards that emotional and mental connection, where your sapiosexual is after that intelligence.
I'm definitely a sapiosexual. I'll tell you what. Listen, Lola is sapiosexual, so I'm an S.
Yes, and then on top of that, you could have, if you're like a flexible woman or a bisexual woman, you could become a unicorn if you're in the swingers world, or even in the polyamorous world, or
Are there unicorns in the polyamorous world? No.
Not really, but some poly couples or poly couples within a poly dynamic could possibly bring a unicorn into their play. That might be what has been discussed, might be negotiated. Oh, this is hot, we want to play with another girl. For the male version of that would be I would call them a stag. Or no, you get a stag and a vixen. A stag is more like your bull. Your vixen is...
Isn't that hot wife? We covered this last week. And guys, you see all of these terminologies that KB is throwing out. This is exactly, my lustful listeners, why Lola has grabbed her up, swooped her up, kept her for myself, and made her production manager. Because I'm
also a little bit kinky.
Exactly. So you fit in with all three productions.
Sharing is caring.
I don't share KB. Okay, she's mine. I took her. Like she's a pot of gold.
Conversation,
You don't have a choice. You have to share with me at least. And I'm fairly certain if you don't want to share with the Metamor, you're gonna have a problem.
I mean, do I look like a person that likes sharing? No, I'm a selfish little bitch, me. Also, you can have the relationship side of her. I just want her production management skills. Because can you hear how well she knows? Like, she gets this shit, right?
I've been supporting you since day one, Miss Lola.
I know.
It's like, I listen.
You listen.
And I read and I find out all the information that Miss Lola needs to know about anything. And
Exactly.
if I've got an answer for her, I'll give it to her.
Also, listen, lustful listeners, if you guys haven't noticed yet, Lola's lessons and both of the spin-off shows, so all three production shows, right, we've now converted it. Not only can you find us on our YouTube channel, but we're also available as a blog. The blog is actually derived from the lesson itself, and that is available on a weekly basis for all three shows. And KB is heading up the blog for these shows, right? I mean, you do a lot of typing for Lola.
Yes, I am a little bit behind, but I'm also researching the topics at the same time with my blog posts. So I'm not just verbatim typing up what we discussed or what gets discussed in the shows. It's not just a translation. I'm adding a little bit more meat and understanding and content to digest, so you can understand the topics just that little bit more, especially for if you have a specific proclivity, if you want to go and investigate or learn, or maybe even want to try.
Exactly. And listen, I don't mind that you're behind. You're not getting a slap on the wrist because I've been overloading you with work. So I mean, I'll be the boss and just blame myself.
And also, I'm also stupid and driving and bumping and yeah.
Yes, you had an accident this week, madam.
Yes. It was last week, but I had to deal with the consequences of that for the days following.
What did your polyamorous husband have to say about your accident?
I phoned him and he was most supportive of me. He was not necessarily worried about the fact that my car's been damaged or the fact that I caused damage to somebody else's car. He was more worried about my emotional state because I sat on the phone in tears with him driving all the way to work.
Did you get support from your sister? Can I call her your sister? Well, for all intents purposes, she basically is, right?
Yeah, she said she just asked me if I'm okay, but she also doesn't want to overstep boundaries because I've got a little bit of a short fuse when it comes to things. I'll be honest, I do have a short fuse.
You've never lost your temper with me.
No, but you and I have a different level of communication. We have that we've got like no filter between the two of us where we can just, Lola, you fucked up. Or you go.
Listen, Lola. Listen, lustful listeners. As a disclaimer, Lola never fucks up.
Or shall I say, Lola phones Bunny more often. Bunny, You fucked up.
Okay, that's a lie too. But back to Polly. Mr. Drag0n, before the break, we discovered a little bit about what is poly, the difference between being a swinger and being polyamorous or polygamous, what the difference between polyamorous and polygamous is, and also we discussed the different poly relationships. And we promised Lola's lustful listeners that when we come back after the commercial break, that we are going to discuss why people choose these poly relationships and what the benefits and the hardships thereof are, right? So I'm going to throw you like into the deep end. I'm going to make you swim because you didn't do all of your research and write up all of those notes. I mean, he's got a whole damn Typex pad here, right? He's done his homework. I'm not going to let you do all of that work and not get all of that information from you for the listeners to learn. So without further ado, let's find out. Let's start with, why did you personally choose a polyamorous lifestyle?
Well, years back, my beautiful wife and I decided we were going to try the swinging side of life. And that was quite a bit of fun, lots of fun actually. Until I actually fell in love with one of my partners, and I realized that there's more to the life than just the physical parts of it, physical aspects of it.
And how long ago was this, more or less?
That would be roughly about 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah, when we started to go into the polyamory side of it.
Tell me, what are the benefits of having more than one partner?
Well, from an emotional and connection perspective, those things are very important. Like in my case, the additional benefit is I do have a very high sex drive, so that does help.
Katie's like wiping sweat all over her forehead, and she's fanning. She's getting hot under the collar. I mean, I even see your other partner sitting there in the corner, keeping to herself. I even see her going, "Sure, flustered one."
Let's just say it's really hard to keep up with the black dragon. Okay.
Oh, really? I mean, this is why he's got 3 ladies, not just one.
Yeah, so those are the primary things. I think for most people, it's more about the connections that you make and the depth of those connections, and then the emotional things you have with other people.
So I'm gonna go in and again ask this hard question on this specific topic, and I hope he doesn't kick me on my shin for this. And you better love Lola still after this, because I still work for you on the CIF, right?
I still do.
So I want to find out. Do you think a lot of people use that as a convenience excuse? I've got a high sex drive. My wife doesn't always want to have the amounts of sex that I've got. So now I'm going to choose to have multiple relationships and use I'm a poly person as an excuse to be fucking around and finding out somewhere else.
I do believe that there are people out there that do. But if that's going to be your perspective on things, then rather stick to swinging.
Look, Lola's lessons enterprises is all about being real, raw, honest, and absolutely authentic. So I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot like that, but I gotta know.
No, you're not putting me on the spot, and I appreciate the question.
Okay. When it comes to the relationships, do each of your partners so we all know about these things called love languages, right? Do your partners speak the same love languages, or are they filling gaps where the other ones can't or don't really lean on those top parts of your need for love in that sense, if I may ask?
No, all my relationships offer me something different. So it would depend from the person to person as to what I can get from them, what they can get from me. So no, in that sense, no. Every relationship offers you something different and requires something different from you in return.
I like that. And would you consider that you, in your own personal capacity, try on a daily basis to provide the different relationships with the different necessities to keep them running properly? And I mean, does that not get a little bit much at times? Do you not want to run and hide because I can barely live up with myself, and I'm just one lady, right? I can't imagine keeping 3 females busy, like not busy, but keeping 3 females happy. I mean, that must take a lot.
It does. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And to be honest, I don't always succeed.
Oh.
You do struggle, but with a little bit of understanding, things can go a long way.
I must say I commend you for saying that. The fact that you don't always succeed, because that means that you are being real, raw, and honest about this. And it takes a lot to say, listen, I'm not always fantastic. I'm not always perfect.
We always have to remember we are human. The only way we are human is by human connection, and the fact that because we're human, we're going to fuck up. Simple truth.
Regularly.
I mean, I feel sorry for you if all 3 of your ladies had to be on their period at the same time.
That has happened.
You lie.
That has fucking happened.
Okay, Mr. Drag0n, Lola would love to extend at this time with all 950, how many is there?
958.
958 listeners as my witness, okay? I would like to extend my home as an open invitation to come and have a drink when it so happens that the universe punishes you to have all 3 of your ladies on their menstrual cycle at the same time, and you have to deal with the PMS. You can come and knock on Lola's door, okay?
I would think I'm the grumpiest out of the 3.
Never phone me on your period, okay? I'm telling you now, this is officially a hard limit. We need to, no negotiation will take place on this.
Yeah, it can get tricky. Yes, it definitely can get really tricky.
I think what I like most about you, Mr. Drag0n, is your demeanor. I mean, you very. It's almost as if you think everything through, and you're not headstrong. Well, this is my perception. Obviously, this is what I see. This is from my viewpoints. Listen, co-host, this is Lola's turn now. You'll have your turn afterwards. I'm never interviewing a co-host husband again, because I mean. So from my perspective, you seem like a cool, calm, and collected person, and a caring person. All the interactions that I've ever had with you have only been caring and coming from a place of real support, love, and understanding. I mean, just watching you now, your other partner sitting there, and she hasn't had the best of days, and you're busy stroking her arm and reassuring her and making her feel loved, and making her feel still a part of this conversation. Although, hello, partner, can we just hear your voice and say just hello? Just say hello.
Hi, everyone.
There we go. That's the other partner sitting there. Also, you're falling asleep there because you're having your arm rubbed so nicely and tickled so nicely. Goshness. Do you get the same love and affection? Do you get the same love and affection, Kobe?
If I want it.
If you need it.
Yeah, I've got times because of my little bit of ADHD and my brain going off on all sorts of tangents, because as you know, I'm a very busy person. I've got a day job and a family, and I cook dinner because, believe it or not, in this household, I'm pretty much the only one that can cook properly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You know Lola can't cook.
Well, I've invited you for lasagna so many times, Lola.
I'm still bloody waiting for that damn lasagna. Why didn't you cook for me today, by the way? You guys ordered bloody KFC. After
I wasn't supposed to be here, so I told them to order KFC.
After I know, but you knew I was coming today.
That's
we
true.
had a
I
meeting
should have
today.
made you some
You should have
lasagna.
made me bloody lasagna. I'm really disappointed.
I will make it up to you, Miss Lola.
Do you know what? Can you please schedule a hearing for Monday?
I will do that.
Okay, but you can't be in the hearing because you're gonna be heard.
So generally, I've got my brain, or shall I say, because I'm so busy and my head's all over the place all the time. I ask for that love and affection, that touch. Otherwise, don't touch me unless I ask for it. That's basically the way I speak, and Drag0n understands that a lot. So
Your love language is different.
Yeah, my love language is very different because I'm a sapiosexual. Everything's got to do with the head. And if I want that physical affection or attention or just to have a conversation, I will ask for it because I'm quite, at the same time, I'm also extremely independent. So, extremely independent.
Oh, really?
I go off on my own road and then I'll come back when I'm ready.
I love that. Okay, that's pretty cool. Mr. Drag0n, let's get into the benefits and like the negative aspects of this lifestyle a little bit more. In your opinion, what has been the benefits of this lifestyle for you personally? Obviously, we spoke about this slightly a little bit earlier and then we went off topic, but I want to circle back to that. So you said obviously you've got a high sex drive, that helps a lot. What are the other benefits? Because that, please tell me that's not the only benefit.
No, it's just the emotional and intellectual connections that you make with people. But they tend to go into a much deeper level than just your regular friendships or colleagues.
Mm.
You get much deeper connection with people. To me, that's like the primary drive and focus.
A little bit earlier, you mentioned that there's a lot of love. And that's something that they said on Sister Wives, that show on TLC a couple of years ago. That's something that they touched on quite often as well. Is people in polygamous or polyamorous relationships, it's because there's a lot of love to share, and it's almost too much love to give to one person, right? You've got too much love, and it's a waste if you only stick with one person. So wouldn't you see or say that that's a benefit as well, being able to share more love and just like almost what's in Afrikaans you say deel it uit. We like what's deel it uit? Hand it out. You're just handing out love everywhere, like almost like it's sweet and it's making everybody happy, because love's what makes the world, besides for sex, love makes the world go round, right?
Yeah, that's true. Sex and money, baby.
Sex, money and love. Okay.
No, we're adding the
Okay, so the negatives. Let's hear about the negatives.
Okay. I've got a question for you, Drag0n. Obviously, you've got multiple poly relationships and play partners that you serve, for lack of a better word. I mean, saying serve in the kinky world is not necessarily something you say to somebody like Black Drag0n, but anyway. Excuse me?
Not your husband, your guest. Not your husband, your guest. You're going to get a smack from Lola just now.
Obviously, there's going to be incidents or times where one particular partner needs a bit more attention than the other partners. Or, for example, you've had a couple of visits with some of your partners and one partner is feeling a little bit left out or not prioritized or not getting enough attention. How do you manage that?
Primarily comes down to just communication for me. Actually talking about it, getting to understand exactly where that partner's coming from, where their need is coming from. Could even potentially be based upon some insecurity, something that's bothering them, but being able to talk about it, and then together deciding on, this is the plan we have for going forward, this is how we're going to fix this, and then actually following through on that, actually actioning that specific plan.
So, listen, lustful listeners, if you guys have just joined us, and goodness gracious, all 957 of you listening over various platforms, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for listening. We are interviewing Black Drag0n on this segment of Probably Poly, and we are discussing the relationship dynamic of polyamorous in specific, being polyamorous, not polygamous, but polyamorous in specific. And we are currently touching on the benefits and also the negativities that surround having this relationship dynamic. Before we continue, I'd just like to send a shout out to a couple of the loyal listeners. We've got a Cash, you're back. Thank goodness. We've missed you. You've missed a shitload of shows. I hope you're listening to the reruns. We had Stephen. We have... Hold on, let me just get to it. I'm trying to scroll through the whole chat. These mods are really doing a great job this evening. Goodness gracious. KB, we should give them all a raise.
I'll tell you what, next time we see them all in the same room, we'll have a shooter with them.
I love that. Body shots. Lola loves body shots.
I mean.
Listen, have you got consent from all of your partners for body shots? Listen to Lola enforcing that. You see, I can be hierarchy. Hierarchical. We've got Jean also from the CIF. We've got Jolene from the CIF. All of the CIF has come out in their masses once again. We've got Mia listening. Hi, Mia. We earlier I saw, who did I see? Oh yes, Morgan from season 1, the very first episode, season 1, episode 1. Morgan was actually part of the segment that we did. The pilot, we did a pilot with a pilot with a touch of Polly. So we touched on
Yes.
Polly in the very first
That
episode.
was us. I was
Yes, you
interviewed with you
yes,
that
that
night.
was the very first interview that I had with you, and Miss Sparrow, if I'm not mistaken,
That's
you, Miss
correct.
Sparrow, Morgan, as well as my friend Anne, that I just spoke about, that was
Yes,
asexual. Yeah, she
yes.
featured on that show. I mean, Frost is here. Hi, Frost, welcome. Jackie Bubbles listens to every episode.
So does Zane.
Zane, exactly.
Yeah.
Zane's also here. We've got Charmaine. Hi, Charmaine. We've got Catherine. Hi, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys are learning a lot. Getting back to it, something that you just mentioned a little bit earlier. Okay, hold on. We've got a question here. If one of you wants to get another partner, do either of you have a day? Do either of you have a day in the relationship? Okay, we'll get to that question just now. I want to touch on what I want to continue with what we were saying before that, before I went off on a tangent, and I'm greeting all of the listeners. We, in the first episode of the first season of Lola's Lessons, we touched on Polly. And something Miss Sparrow said that evening really resonated with me. She said, and I won't ever forget those words. She said, Polly's hard, Polly's sexy, Polly's fucking hard. Those were her exact words. And she went on to say that having a polyamorous or polygamous, well, she wasn't talking about polygamy, but having a polyamorous relationship specifically can get very, very lonely. Obviously, it all depends on the kind of relation, the poly relationship that you live. It doesn't sound like you guys have those lonely moments, but I think this must be one of the negative facets of this relationship dynamic, right? Is because, and I remember this conversation so clearly, because how she explained it was, sometimes you had a day, right? I mean, you had a fallout with your manager, you had somebody almost bump into you at the robot, you had a beggar like banging on your window for some money, you had somebody scream at you in a line, you let your groceries fall out of your hands and you dropped a tray of eggs. You've just had a shit day, right? And Lola has lots of these fucking days. And you get home and you need a connection with that special person just to hug you, hold you, and say, I'm sorry you've had a day, my baby. Come and lie on my lap and let me stroke your hair. I'm speaking specifically from a female perspective now, as if I'm saying as if I was like in a relationship. That's what I would like when I get home after a fucking shitty day. Yes, that comfort and that love. Now, what happens if you've had a shitty day? You've had a fucking day. Like I had yesterday, while we were busy with Lola's Lessons, I had a glass of champagne and a glass of wine in front of me because yesterday I had a fucking day. So that would have been one of those days that I needed that love and affection and a reassurance that everything's fine. I did a good job. I'm succeeding in life. What happens if my partner, if I were in a poly relationship, what happens to me if my partner has a scheduled visit with his other relationship, his partner in the other relationship? That can get very lonely. And wouldn't you consider this to be one of the negatives? Because that would piss me off.
I would agree with you, yeah. Yes, for the partner in need at that point in time, it would be very lonely. But unfortunately, it's just, these things can happen. And again, that comes down to communicating. Because if that partner then comes to you and says, listen, I've had a really shitty day. I really need you right now, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. Again, just that open, honest communication can go a very long way. Can actually help prevent future problems from happening as well. Because if you're not giving that partner that attention when they need it at that point in time, especially if, like me, who tends to be oblivious at times, let's be honest, I am oblivious at times. I don't always understand that my partner may need that right then and there. She can't wait 5 minutes. She can't wait 10 minutes or wait until tomorrow. She needs it now. But also, she doesn't communicate it to me properly, and I don't understand that this is what she needs in that moment. I can't give it to her.
I love it because that stems back to what KB was saying earlier. And I like that for the two of you. I love that for the two of you and for your relationship because you said you're very vocal about what you need and when you need it, right? KB, that's what you said. You said, I will say I need love and affection. I will say I need a conversation. So I think that's gold for you guys. But here's my other concern, right? So you're in a poly relationship. You've got a polycule, like you said earlier, and same scenario. You get home, your partner that just came home to you has had a shitty day, and your other partner that you're supposed to be seeing this evening hasn't seen you for over 2 weeks because of unforeseen circumstances, and you guys have missed a couple of days to be with one another. But your partner that just came home after the very shitty day says to you, I can't be alone tonight. My parrot died, okay? And I don't want to be alone tonight. I mean, that's a shitty fucking situation and something that I never want to find myself in. How do you bridge something like that? Because both of them need you. You can't deny the one whose parrots died. You can't deny the one that hasn't seen you for a set amount of time. I mean, this is a shitty fucking situation. Talk about a rock and a hard place, right?
Yes, that is sometimes worse than a rock and a hard place. I have found myself recently in such situations, and I have to admit that I did not handle it the way that I was supposed to. Ideally, I would have to communicate to the other partner, listen, this is what's happening now. It is an emergency in that sense. So I need to tend to this emergency first. Can we reschedule whatever it is we had planned for a little bit later, even if it's later that day, later that evening, or the next day, whatever the case may be. And given the fact that it's an emergency, I would hope that my partner would understand and actually be open to actually rescheduling in that sense. It does not happen all the time, unfortunately, and you do find yourself in what we would call, quote, impossible, quote, situations. But yeah, and again, when you then, like I said, a day or two after that, look back on that situation, discussing it and looking at how can this have been handled better or differently, and trying to find a way that will work for both parties involved. It does take time and effort. These things don't happen overnight.
I think that stems into my question earlier about the what do you do in the situation where your partner or one of your partners doesn't feel prioritized over an extended period of time?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, the situation that you're talking about, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's I want to know, how do you deal with that partner that has been let down, or shall I say not feel prioritized, even if you're trying to make them feel prioritized?
It really comes down to the effort that I have to put in and into improving how I interact with that partner, to actually make her feel that I do care, I do love her, I do appreciate her. And that is an ongoing thing, day to day. It's not something you can say, oh, I'm gonna only do it for today and then it's done. It's an ongoing thing, and try to find that balance, especially when you have multiple partners. That's not an easy task.
So, Mr. Drag0n, on this, right? So, on the COF, Lola's position, right, on your co-founded community, okay? Lola is known as the lifestyle counselor, but that's counselor spelled with a C, so that's like your ward counselor, right? But let me be the counselor with an S and give you a top tip. I'll bill you later. Next time that happens, invite both of your partners over and just have like a big ass Christmas bed in front of a TV. Hold them both because luckily they get along. I feel sorry for the guys in poly relationships whose partners don't get along, however, in this specific situation. But FYI, top Lola tip, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Just like see both of them at the same time. Luckily they get along. You damn lucky. Pots of gold. More negativities. Are there any more negative realms to this relationship dynamic that you can think of off the top of your head? What has been really difficult for you, and what struggles have you come to endure within the past couple of years? I love how real and honest and absolutely raw and authentic you've been, because that goes a long way. I love that because it gives somebody so much credibility. Like, no human is perfect, and that's what I love about you. So let's hear about more of the struggles that you've faced.
Primarily time management, because let's face it, there's only so many hours in a day. You do need to get some sleep somewhere along the line.
Besides when you've got a high sex drive. Then sleep doesn't matter.
even when you have a house sex drive, because if you don't sleep enough, you ain't gonna be able to perform. Let's be realistic.
And you've got 3 ladies to keep happy, let's be honest.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, primarily time management, just making sure that everybody gets adequate time from me. That they actually feel that it's not rushed, that they actually feel appreciated. If there are any potential insecurities, addressing those, finding solutions to those, and then actually following through with those specific things. Same with jealousies. If you have jealousies, you need to verbalize it. You need to talk about it, find what's the root cause for it, and address the root cause instead of trying to just fixate on the symptoms.
Well, that's beautiful.
So when it comes to your partners, you've got 2 autonomous relationships and you've got a play partner, do you work on a schedule on when you see them, play with them, go to parties, whatever it is that you do?
Can I interject you before you answer? Remember that question. We've heard the phrase autonomous quite a couple of times, and I promised the listeners right in the beginning that we're going to define this phrase for them, because it's important that they understand what we're saying. What is autonomous? What is KB? What do you understand under the term autonomous?
Well, the dictionary term of autonomous is self-control, self-care, you are responsible for yourself. It's all self-contained. So each relationship in this perspective is self-contained. For example, my relationship with Black Dragon has no connotations or, shall I say,
You've got no say over his other relationships.
I've got no say over his other relationships, but at the same time, my relationship with him should not affect any of the other relationships.
Okay. Is that your understanding too, Black Dragon?
And it's my understanding, but the practical application thereof is not always what we need or want it to be.
Okay.
Because you're going to have somebody that has an expectation that needs to be addressed. And your other partners might not necessarily agree with it or be happy with it. And then it comes down to, how do you manage that? How do you communicate that there's an expectation for whatever reason? And basically just coming down again to communication, finding a solution to the problem, and then following through with that specific solution.
Okay, let's hear about schedule, because if you need a schedule, Lola can do that for you too, but it's billable per half hour, okay? I'll still bill you for the previous top tip. I mean, that's coming. Bill's in the mail. But if you need a schedule, I can set that up for you too. Kabi, can you sort out a schedule there for me, please?
I'll send you an email address.
You see how well I am at
Delegating.
I had to learn that, right? There was never a skill of mine. Let's get back to schedules. Have you got a schedule?
Well, at the moment, throughout the week, I spend time with KB. On weekends, I spend time with my other partner. And as for my play partner, at this point in time,
excuse me,
the last few times I've seen her like roughly every second week. So that seems to be the schedule for now. So that's what we're working on and basing our plans around. So that's what we have at this point in time.
But I mean, so I obviously know you guys quite well as well. I'm lucky enough to have a favorite poly family, my poly people, and I happen to know that you guys spend a lot of weekends all together. I mean, that's KB, you and your other partner, as well as you, Black Dragon, and your partner. So the 4 of you just share a home, share a weekend, and I mean, That's obviously where it stops, listeners. It's not necessarily that they all sleep together. We've already covered this question. If you didn't hear it, if you missed it and you only just joined us, go and re-listen to the episode from the beginning so that you understand where we're heading with this. But you guys do spend a lot of time together, and I think that's beautiful because that's the family dynamic of it, right? And that's what makes you guys different from the swingers, because it's literally living together, it's evolving together, it's loving, it's real, and I'm sure it can be hard. Have all four of you had a fallout at the same time? Like everybody fighting with everybody because there's two menstrual cycles and two men that had a bad week. Have you guys ever had a fallout like that?
No, not to that extent.
Lucky you.
No. So far, we have been lucky. But our arrangement is KB will spend time with her partner. I spend time with my partner, and then like usually like in the mornings, KB will like wander into our room and like come for a cuddle and just like, how are you guys doing? And we have a bit of a chat, and then she'll go back, and that's to and fro. But also taking into consideration we do have a little one, so we also work together to have like proper time with him, make sure that he's getting the love and attention that he needs. So that is extremely important to us. That's like our primary focus. We've always agreed that he comes first, irrespective of our other relationships and dynamics. He has to be prioritized above all else.
I actually got goosebumps when you mentioned that now, because I wasn't going to bring it up because we didn't agree to discuss this on air. But this is something very special to me, and thank you for giving us an insight into that part of your life. So you and your wife KB have a little one together. How was it? Was it a and just one question on this? Was it a evolution process with the extra with KB's partner and your partner when you guys spend time together, all together in one house over a weekend, that everybody takes care of the little one together? Was it an evolution process, or did it just kind of naturally happen, as human nature would so intend? If you don't mind me prying, of course.
No. The agreement between KB and myself is that our little one is our responsibility. If our partners get involved, playing with him, or swimming with him, whatever the case may be, that is entirely up to them. They don't have to. There's no expectation of that. Obviously, it does make it a lot easier, but the primary focus being that attention must definitely come from mom and dad, and then if there's additional attention, wonderful. If it's not, that main attention from mom and dad is still there. That's the important part.
Wow, that's I've got goosebumps. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for allowing me to ask the question as well.
If I may add to that, if you look at our dynamics, my partner generally does not get involved in the day-to-day runnings of like family, as he understands that we are the core family, Black Dragon and myself, with our child. He does not really get involved in that, but they all definitely benefit on the fact that there is an eat schedule and a sleep schedule and all of that type of thing, because I get up and I go cook dinner and or make breakfast, and because none of them cook, I make bacon and eggs for breakfast.
Listen, nobody makes a breakfast better than Lola. I'm just saying. You make lasagna, I'll make breakfast next time. You're sorry to interrupt. Continue as you were.
It depends on what your breakfast is. You're talking bacon and eggs. And,
listen,
the whole
just this morning I made bacon, patties, eggs, French toast, normal toast, grilled onion, fried onions, and grilled tomato. So are you sure?
I'm coming for breakfast by Lola.
I was just gonna say, you know what? We go for breakfast by Lola, and then we stay there for lunch. You make lasagna, and we can figure out dessert as we go along.
I mean, that's sexy.
I mean, Polly's sexy, right?
Say what kind of dessert?
Listen, lustful listeners. Before I say listen, lustful listeners,
I have a question to answer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, before I end the show, let me just go back to my co-host, yeah, and make sure like she's asked everything that she wanted to ask.
Okay, so one of the listeners asked, if you have a potentially new relationship that you want to start, how does that work with regards to your other partners that pre-exist? Is there a consent thing that you have to ask, or is there a thing of you just notify them? Because obviously you also need to consider the fact that there's STIs, STDs flying around. Tests need to be done. Obviously, we use FAMCA, but
Brand name.
yes, brand name FAMCA. Drop there.
Famca and Epicenter. There we go.
Yeah. How does that work in terms of you bringing in a new partner, for example, with your pre-existing partners being there?
Okay, so in the way that I work with my partners is if I want to start an official relationship or even consider playing with that protection, I would need their consent. That's just my preference. I know not everybody runs that way, but that is how I prefer it, because then I know that they feel safe, they feel protected, they feel that I care about their input and their feelings regarding the matter. Yeah, that's the short of the long.
I absolutely love that. Honestly, I think the fact that you guys are still being safe and exploring, and like having that consent and negotiation as a part of your everyday life, and how you guys agree on everything and discuss everything ahead of time. I think that's very important for the listeners to hear and to understand and to make sense of, because that's obviously in essence what makes you guys a successful the polycule, right?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to say we always agree. There are obviously topics that we have our disagreements on as to what should and should not be allowed. But again, it comes down to discussing, negotiating, working it out, seeing if we can find a way forward. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to necessarily do anything that's going to upset my partners. That's like digging my own grave. Not something I really want to get into.
Last question before I say goodnight to the listeners. Would you in future look at adding more to your polycule, or is that a hard limit question for me to be asking right now? Is there something? Would you ever consider adding more to your polycule?
Well, at this point in time, I'm definitely looking at adding my play partner as a proper partner. But that is something that obviously, like I said, we have to go through the entire process. And that does take time. It's not something you just like snap your fingers and boom, there it is. It doesn't work like that.
I'm very happy to hear that Mr. Black Dragon isn't going to be seen as South Africa's ex-president, right? And on that note, let's stay away from anything race, anything religion, and anything politics. Gosh, I'm committing podcast suicide this evening. I can just see it. Don't do it. We've still got a full 957 listeners, so it couldn't have been that shit, right? Listen, Lustfuls, thank you for joining us this evening. We were covering the poly section and poly dynamics within the realm of ethical non-monogamous relationship dynamics. We were joined this evening by the Drag0n family. Can I call you guys the Drag0n family? That sounds amazing. Miss KB,
Miss Lola.
was it fun being like in front of the mic and instead of being typing on the app and being production manager or being? Yeah, I know. I'm gonna knuckle on the knuckles. Was it fun like being in front of the mic instead of just typing away?
I had a lot of fun. It was actually a lot of fun having a full on conversation and being able to participate in the topic that we have on hand. Yeah.
Also, you're lucky enough that it was your husband that we were interviewing.
I mean, I could probably help with a lot of the other stuff. I've also got knowledge on some of the other topics you cover.
Listen, Lola was very kind to you tonight. I gave you an easy one. Next time it won't be this easy, right? Expect a hard one.
Watch me prepare, Miss.
Such a good girl.
So there we go. Floodgates. The floodgates just open, guys. Lustful listeners, that's it for this evening's segment on Probably Poly. If you aren't monogamous and you aren't a swinger, it could very well be that you're probably poly. Remember to discuss, ask consent, and negotiate everything with your partner before engaging in any other relationship dynamics. Don't be a fool, mother trucker. Be clever, be intelligent, and do the right thing. in the Lola's Lessons production, like the whole spin-off season of Lola's Lessons, what you guys can expect to see this coming week on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central African time. Lola and my fabulous, iconic co-host, Miss Kitten, will be negotiating with Domino Faye. That's 9 p.m. Wednesday evening, Central African time. Don't miss that one. That one is absolutely guaranteed to be a killer. Next week on Lola's Lessons, Friday, 9 p.m. with Miss Carmen Ellie, the goddess of pleasure herself. We are going to be talking about we are going to be promoting Pillow Talk, because you can't expect to have an absolute amazing sex life without doing some work and putting in some hustle and increasing and absolutely defining your Pillow Talk techniques. What is Pillow Talk? We'll talk about that next week. On Saturday evening, we are covering, well, hold on, where we go, there we go. We are covering Slow and Steady to be swinging ready, because you can't just decide today I want to be a swinger and tomorrow I'm going to be monogamous, because there's like a way of doing things, and it's better to do things right as opposed to getting it done. So let's teach you guys how to go slow and steady until you're swinging ready, before just diving in there and getting on that playground swing set, right? Mr. Drag0n, you nudged to say something before I finished. Did you want to say?
I'm saying I need to listen to that the Pillow Talk episode. I definitely need to listen to that.
I mean, I don't have game with Pillow Talk. I don't think I've got it. I talk a lot, but I talk a lot of shit. So I can definitely use some guidance when it comes to Pillow Talk.
Personally, Miss Lola, if I watch you on the COF, I think you've got game when it comes to Pillow Talk.
Oh, Miss Mel, look at you. Also, you're sitting so close, I might just hold your leg, baby.
For you.
And that's it for this evening's segment on Probably Polly. Tune in this coming week. It's bound to be a killer and a stellar week for us. And on that bombshell, lustful listeners, to all 950 odd of you, we love the lot of you. Stay safe, stay sane, stay sober, and remember to tune in this week for Lola and all of her lessons. Good night and goodbye.
Do something different this Valentine's month. Join us for a beautiful, fun and deeply nourishing sacred intimacy couples retreat on the South Coast, KZN. From the 23rd to the 25th of February, wake to the sound of the sea, renew your connection, relax in bliss body massage, and reconnect with your love. Go to www.blissandrelaxation.com for more info.